Yes, sir. Welcome back to another Trap or Die film session. I'm your host of the Trap or Die podcast, Molly Mall, and listen, we are here to talk about the defense. 7 sacks on the Cleveland Browns. Washington Commanders had, and I think honestly, the Cleveland Browns offense terrible that day. Terrible on the season altogether. But I think the Commanders' scheme, their approach, also the tone in which they set throughout the game contributed to such a terrible day for the Cleveland Browns. And I think that ought to be applauded and looked into. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the film session. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Trap or Die film session up right now. All right, so to begin, let's talk about why the Commanders' defense was so successful. They played downhill. They pursued to the football on all levels of the field. They were physical, and they hit the quarterback. They made sure that their presence was felt. And then on the back end, they covered well, communicating, and then also handling their assignments individually. They did get beat in some one-on-one situations, but we're going to talk about why we rarely saw the quarterback able to hit on those, and that's mainly because the front end with the pass rush connected with the back end in terms of the secondary. It meshed well from start to finish through the day. And let's start with that 5th play of the game and Frankie Luvu, man. So obviously, as we know, the 4th down attempt. We know that Frankie Luvu made a play in the backfield, but I think it's the instincts that takes over, right? Frankie Luvu has been by far probably the best commander on that defense. Second is probably going to be, what's your boy name? Benjamin St-Juste. Believe it or not, I think it's going to be Benjamin St-Juste, and then after him, Bobby Wagner. That's my order if I had to rank it. Your top 3. Frankie Luvu, he's an instinctive player, but what happens when he's so instinctive and why he's so successful in these moments is because when he's a naturally gifted athlete. So his quickness, his burst, it makes it hard for your offensive lineman, anybody that's supposed to get hands on him to make a play. 4th down, you had a yard to get, and he gets no gain because Frankie Luvu blew up the play in the backfield. All right, another play with Frankie Luvu at the line of scrimmage. That's a 3rd and 15, so you had some room to be creative if you a pass rusher, right? But you're starting the B gap as a stand-up linebacker, right? You get your spin move, and then you win inside quickly, and then you bring him down for a sack. Frankie Luvu had 2.5 sacks on the day. And on the back end, you see your cover that looks like a little quarters defense. I don't know the iteration per se, but somewhat of a quarters defense. It's 3rd and 15. They're keeping everything in front of him for the most part. So he could hit his slants, but the way that this route concept is, it's kind of like they're running into the teeth or passing into the teeth of the defense, which doesn't really work for Deshaun Watson. And that's how you end up getting Frankie Luvu in order to get that pressure. Now, he did win all on his own, right? But D-Watt really didn't see anywhere that works for him to get the football where he needed to go. 3rd and 15 sack. Possession is over. The play before that is interesting because it's not necessarily Frankie Luvu all the way, but we're showing moments where Frankie Luvu makes an impact on the play, right? So I think this is 2nd and 15. But the coverage instincts, like the feel for where the quarterback is going, the feel for the route concepts around him, really good rep. Now this is a drop interception for Quan Martin, who also plays this perfectly. We're talking about an inverted 2. Right, where like your robber, it looks like a single high initially, but now it goes into a 2. And from this moment, you kind of think that the middle of the field is open. So they bait Deshaun Watson into filling that. For some reason, doesn't see Quan. And Quan just slowly creeps over and goes for the pick. Should have had the pick. Should have been a turnover on downs. Or excuse me, should have been a change of possession. But from this moment, you see a creeper pressure. Creepers are where you replace your 4 defensive linemen, one of, if not multiple defensive linemen with 2nd or 3rd level rushers. So that's where you get Frankie Luvu, Dorrance Armstrong drops back, and now Bobby Wagner replaces, and now you still get a pure 4-man rush, but it comes from one of them, the 2nd level. And then in this moment, you see where Frankie Luvu was playing the eyes of the quarterback, but also having a good feel for where that route was around him. All right, another moment. We talked about effort, right? That relentless pursuit thing. Look at how beautiful this was in itself. You're talking about, what is this? Let me check. 23. That was a 3rd and 8. And you see the sack in itself. John Allen get a sack. But let's run this back one more time. Everybody converges on the football. They see Deshaun Watson trying to take off. Doesn't work. But what I love about this play is like the nuance or like the small details of it, right? So as soon as they see Deshaun try to take off, everybody quickly transitions into pursuit mode. Spin move from Daron Payne, spin move from Frankie Luvu. Going back to the quarterback. John Allen doesn't win his rep, but he stays involved, right? So now he just comes down, gets on the quarterback. So does Frankie Luvu, but Daron Payne is what I like the most because you got two people going for the sack, right? Securing the tackle, and then you got Daron Payne trying to strip the football. That's just a very well instinctive choreographed tackle. I don't know if I said that right, but you get what I'm saying. Like you get two people going for the tackle, securing the tackle. You got the free man going for the football. You can create a lot of plays that way. Like just keep doing it. It's going to work. All right, so let's go ahead and let this one rock. Again, we're still keeping my eyes on Luvu. Think of how important this play is. Now, I hope you saw it on the first run, but we'll run it back again. All right, let's talk about Frankie and then go back to the coverage side. Coming from the second level, you get your quick win, right? I think he had like a 90+ rating as a pass rusher from Pro Football Focus. Like that just shows you how effective he was as a pass rusher this game, right? But coming from the second level now, second level blitz, you got 5 rushers. So you really don't have a robber. They're running cover 1 on the back end. So that if you don't have that robber or that person to take away the middle of the field, you still have your single high safety, but you don't have anybody to protect the middle of the field. And you're essentially you were one-on-one on the boundary and the field side regardless from your receiver standpoint, but you don't have nobody protecting the middle. You are truly by yourself is what I'm trying to get at. You're truly by yourself as a cornerback. But Luvu ends up winning again, beats that guard, and able to corner and get Watson down. Now on the front end, why is that important? All right, they're double moving Mikey Sandristle, and if you look at the bottom of your screen, they're selling that slant route, and he jumps on that slant route before Cooper comes back out. D-White isn't able to get the ball there, and that's why that's important. When your coverage and your front end, in terms of your pass rushers, are married together and they're able to work together. You know, sometimes they help each other out in moments where somebody needs some help. That's not the only time that it happened. I'm going to show you some more. But these guys were doing their damn thing from front end to back end throughout the whole day. Talk about effort, right? Let's go ahead now. I talked about John Allen in previous shows, previous episodes, so I got to show him some love here. You force a Deshaun Watson bad ball or incompletion, right? But you're also like in this cover 2 creeper pressure. So if you see it from this angle, you see the same thing that I mentioned before, right? Where you have those second level defenders come in and rush, and you have a first level defender drop. So you still get a 4-man rush, but it looks a little different. And that's what you get here. And let's go ahead from the end zone angle to show the difference, right? Same thing. Dante Fowler drops in coverage. It shows like an overload on the left side, the left offensive side, our right, the way that we're looking at it. Now Bobby Wagner comes down. Dorrance Armstrong is unaccounted for. They slide left, but Dorrance ultimately misses the sack. But look at John Allen. Either he feeling, I don't know what's going on. He got that juice, bruh. He got that juice, man. That chase down. Look at that. That boy hustling on D-Watt's ass. Pressured to make a throw. Wasn't accurate. Wasn't close to the sticks anyway. I think that was a 2nd and 17 once again. It wasn't getting nowhere. Another way that they also defended Deshaun Watson as we continue to go through some of these moments. Let's kind of look at the disguise here. You get a 2 high, right? And you get a cover 1. So this is your 3rd and 17. Now, I don't know if this was an instinctive effort from Percy Butler or if this was like a robber to spy roll. I don't know like how Joe Whitt called it. I wouldn't know. But you see from a 2 high disguise, think that they're going to play what looks like either cover 2 or quarters. They drop down into a single high post snap. And Percy Butler, people wonder how they use all these safeties and how these DBs. Percy Butler drops down as the robber. He has the middle of the field responsibilities. But you get an interior pass rush, right? Not even an interior pass rush, but you get a rush that's close to D-Watt that's forcing him to bail outside of the pocket. And this is where Percy Butler comes in. One of your fastest guys running a 4.3, quickly eliminates any rushing lane that D Watt had. Look at the amount of space. Like, if you're running a true robber roll, Percy Butler isn't beelining to the quarterback, right? Like, you're still in the middle of the field. D Watt has an opportunity around the edges, the boundary, to try and make a run for it, but Percy Butler quickly closes that, eliminates any opportunity, and you're talking about 4th and 17. I gotta punt the ball. That's quick. That boy fast. I gotta show my boy Phil with a big play, right? I thought this would have been an interception. I ain't gonna lie to you if the ball got there, but you know, I'm a fan of Big Phil, so I'm gonna show him some love. A lot of people get on Big Phil edge, man. But you got him at the nose tech, zero technique, nose guard, and just bulls his way back. Gets a PBU. And obviously, as you see from this angle, you can see Luvu and Wagner converge on Njoku. He would have tried to fit that ball in there, but Luvu probably would have picked it off. You see, look at his hands. Like, you see it. Look at his hands, bro. That was a pick, and we knew it. Big Phil made a play. Shout out to Big Phil, but we know what would have happened. Now, Benjamin St. Juste had a really good day. There was a moment in the second half after the Terry McLaurin's turnover where he played the entire series as good as you can play any type of coverage, any receiver, any route combinations, high-low concepts, like all of that stuff. He played it well. And I think this isn't that drive, but like, he's up aligned against Amari Cooper, one of the best receivers, or once was one of the best receivers in the NFL. He lost his speed a little bit, but he still gets busy. But you see him in this moment running that bail coverage, right? Eyes on the quarterback, eyes on the receiver at the same time, has that good relationship, and then burst at the top of the break, back to the ball. He gets a hand on it. It's a really good rep from Ben. Good plays on the day. A couple of them throughout the day. Really good rep. Effort. More effort. And honestly, just another instance of just playmaking from Phil Mathis and Bobby Wagner. You get a Phil Mathis who's playing on the weak side, what you would call like the weak side one tech. I think they're like in the under front. He ends up going over a gap to the play side, a gap. They do this often. I think it's a gap and a half technique, if Mark Bullock would kind of explain it that way. But they do this often throughout the first 5 games. But he goes over. You have Jeremy Chin filling properly and run support. You got Bobby Wagner there and run support as well. But good eyes from Phil Mathis, who's still on that first level, just knowing I got to get back into the weak side gap. Him and Bobby Wagner makes a play, and Jeremy Chin on the ball. You get a no gain from the running back. Good rep. All right, so I love this play. Again, effort, physicality, like all in one moment. So there's your rookie making a big stick on the receiver. And then obviously Dorrance Armstrong tagging Deshaun Watson. Dorrance wins inside pretty quickly. Forces D Watt to try and check it down. He takes a huge hit, but then Mike Sanders still comes in as well. Same type of, he matching energy. Coming down a little bit from a cover 2. They're playing a soft cover 2. I think this was let's double check. Play 25 was 2nd and 7. But came down, made a big hit on the receiver. A bigger receiver than him, obviously. Couldn't gain any additional yards after the catch. Another moment where the pass rush helps out your secondary. Like, they were tagging them all day, tagging D Watt. Like, it was a day. Bobby Wagner and Frankie Luvu blitzes both A gaps. They both take turns demolishing the running back as they get to Deshaun Watson. Excellent play. But why this is important, I think this is your 3rd down. Let me double check. 26. That was it. 3rd and 5. I'm at the bottom of your screen. They running a bunches. Now they communicate everything well. They got the assignments all covered. Noah Igbenogany is set on Jerry Jeudy. He runs that whip route, gets open underneath. But why is that ball not thrown? Because that pressure got to him. So Jerry won, but the defense won the rep. One of my favorite plays. This is actually from the red zone drive from Ben St. Juste, right? playing that high-low well. But that boy Dorrance Armstrong laid a hit on D-Wop, bro. Huge hit. But shout out to Ben St. Juste on this. Leveraging that high, that flat, and that route above him. Somewhat like of a crosser. Now, he does get open late, right, when he comes back towards the middle of the field. But the initial coverage, right, just being able to leverage that. But up front, you get a pass rush that's getting D-Wop some trouble. And he runs into another sack. Shortly after Dorrance Armstrong's sack was another drive where Deshaun misses an override. Now, I don't know why he doesn't throw this. He does have time initially, but he holds onto the ball. Now you got Jeremy Chin. Who was that? No, that's Bobby Wagner, who's playing the flats, but like very instinctive play from Bobby, knowing that there's nobody in his zone. Right? The running back stays in the block. So what can I do? If I see that rush gap vacated, right, and he can take off and run, I'm going to close this space. I'm not letting him get out. So let me go ahead and run green dog. Right? And I'm going to cause some pressure. Give it right to Frankie Luvu. Luvu could have housed this if his mans wasn't in the way. That could have been 38 points right there. Look at Dorrance. He just ran into his man. He just ran into him, bro. For what? But at the top, again, we talk about coverage. I don't understand why. Now you have these moments in games, right? Like every rep ain't gonna be perfect. And like you can play it the best you can to the way the coverage is called, right? But you have Jerry Jeudy open on the crosser. He just doesn't pull the trigger. I'm near the 20-yard line if you're looking. I don't know why he doesn't throw it. But the coverage ends up working out because the pressure gets home anyway, and you force a turnover. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for this film session. Again, if you liked it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you are new. Also, consider becoming a channel member. If you haven't become a channel member already, that would be greatly appreciated. But it's also just showing some love to the work that we do over here on Chopper Dive and things like that. And as we grow, we'll continue to look out for the channel members exclusively and things like that. But in terms of this film session and in terms of the Washington Commanders defense, man, it was one of the best outings that you can have in this young season for Washington. Held them under 300 yards to Cleveland Browns. Again, granted, the Cleveland Browns offense in itself was generally terrible, like throughout the entire season, and they weren't good against the Commanders on Sunday. But when we talk about the effort, the pursuit, the physicality, you see people executing their assignments and why that works for the front end and the back end, right? And your linebackers making plays. I think one of the biggest things, and I want to give credit to Kevin Sheehan for saying this because I heard this today and I think it makes sense. He is not who I'm about to compare him to, but he is whose name I'm about to say for this defense. And I think Frankie Luvu is just as impactful for Washington's defense as the utilage that Micah Parsons had in Dan Quinn's defense. They use him all over the place. They use him as a stand-up linebacker. They use him as an edge rusher. They use him as a blitzer. They use him in coverage. That's how effective he is. People thought that Jamin Davis was going to do that before the season. That's not the case. That is all Frankie Luvu. And then you talk about Benjamin St. Juste growth. You talk about Quan Martin's impact. Like, all of these things are working for this defense. Again, early test is going to be against the Baltimore Ravens in their offense. Number one, rush offense, dual threat quarterback, elite guy who can really throw the football as well. You're going to be put to the test. And the Cleveland Browns offense ain't going to test you that much, right? But if you can keep getting momentum with stacking good days on top of good days, who knows what the ceiling is for this defense, right? So without further ado, that's going to wrap it up for us. Till next time, man. Peace.
Chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Damn. said,
appreciate everybody watching.
watch him
If you
throw
learned
the ball.
something, man,
We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.